Hello viewers, you are welcome to Transformed Lives program coming your way from Church of Uganda television in Church House in Kampala, in Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. Transformed Lives program brings you people who have experienced transformation in their lives, families which have experienced transformation, communities, organizations, and even nations. In the studio today, we have our own retired Archbishop Henry Luke Orombi. Your Grace, you are most welcome to Transformed Lives program.
Thank you.
Your Grace, we have been missing you for quite a long since you retired. Today is the opportunity for Ugandans whose lives have been touched by Archbishop Henry Luke Orombi when he was a bishop, when he was Archbishop, and now he is retired. We have not heard from him for quite a long time, so today it is our privilege. Your Grace, it is now my greatest pleasure to invite you to talk to our audience about yourself, your background, where you come from, the school system where you went to, up to the point when you began to profess that your life has been transformed in terms of salvation, and what salvation is doing in your life.
I want to greet you viewers and thank God for such a wonderful opportunity now for us to get out there through the media that Church of Uganda is blessed with. I want to thank God for the privilege to sit where I'm right now sitting in a place that I've been here since 2013 after my retirement. My own home is in Pakwachi, Nebi. As you enter Nebi district and West Nile through the first corridor, you get through my home. Pakwachi is a bridge which was built in 1969 by Obote. That's my home. I grew up there. I wasn't quite born there. I was born in the hills up in Goli, where now I live. But from the time of the year 2, we shifted home because my father had to come home from where he was working. And my primary education, in our time, you do 6 years primary and then 2 years junior. Then you can go to a tertiary institution, secondary education. I did the 8 years.
Yes.
And then I applied to go to Elgon Technical School and train to be a motor vehicle mechanic.
Motor vehicle mechanic. Wow.
Well, my father was not in agreement. My father refused. He said, no, you can't be a mechanic. I want you to be a teacher. I said, no, I can't be a teacher because I'm not even applied in a teacher college, teacher training college. Well, then my father came as a father, said, it's either the teacher training college or no more education for you. Now, that I didn't want.
You didn't want.
He took me by force. I went to this college. My name was not there. I had done very well in my junior exams. I was a grade 1 student. Eventually, the principal, then an Irish guy, asked me if I could sit for an interview, a written interview. I sat for that interview and I passed. That goes back in 1966. So I was going to be trained to be a grade 2 teacher at that point, and I started training.
Yes.
The following year was a year of transformation for me. I believe that's why God took me to a training college. Because an evangelist came from Scripture Union here in Kampala, a famous preacher, still actually preaching. Joe Kayo, then a man from Kenya.
Yes.
And he did a 1-week mission where 90% of the students gave their lives to Christ. And I was one of them. There began my journey, March 22nd, 1967. I was 18 at that point, and I was young.
Yes.
Let's go back a little. My family is a very big family because the father of my father had 6 wives. And we built in a big place. My father's father was not a Christian. My father's father was a traditionalist and even a medium, meaning he had 12 different spirits
Wow.
that was controlling our village, our clan, because he was a kind of a leader. So my spirituality actually dated from the fact that I was interested in what was happening there. I wanted to know if the spirits are there. I kept asking one time him to know if the spirits were there.
Yes.
And so my interest in the spiritual world began through my background. But my father, a mission-trained father, baptized, confirmed, did not want me to get mixed up.
Yes.
So when I was able to read, he gave me a Bible. So I was beginning to my first reading material was a Bible. And I think my father was very keen that I should be biblically sound so that I am easy to disciple,
Yes.
to be disciplined. And the Bible is good at disciplining people. So then, when I came to this college, I was a man searching for all kinds of fun, my own character. I'm hyper, I want to touch this, I want to touch that, I want to drink this, and alcohol, and smoke bangi, and all these things. My life was what you would call a reckless life.
Yeah.
For a young person my age, you would have thought that this is young people's adventures, but they cost a lot. Sometimes they cost you your life.
Yes.
So by coming to Jesus Christ at the age of 18, that meant it's a very important age. You make a decision for the rest of your life. At that point, I was in my first year. By the time I was going to my second year, no, I was in my second year. By the time I was going to my third year, fourth year, my heart for young people had already been convinced. I was a leader I led my college as a head of the students. The leadership ability you now see me at this age started way back then, even when I was a student in a teacher's college. By the time I finished in 1969, 70, I was posted from Arua up to Lira. And that's a long distance during our time.
Yes.
And I was away from my familiar territory people. But Lango and the Nebi people, Alur people, are the Luo family people. So it wasn't a strange place. And I discovered in Lira among the Langis, we built a good relationship. A very powerful friendship developed. I taught for 4 years. I was a classroom teacher, I was a deputy headmaster, I was a headmaster within 4 years.
Yes.
Then God called me and I resigned. So 1973, I resigned. 1974, I joined the Diocese of Northern Uganda, then under Bishop Luwum. He was my bishop.
Yes.
For 5 months. Because in 1974 May, he was elected Archbishop. So he left me in the hands of the successor, Bishop Benon Ogwal Abwang.
Yeah.
That was the year I was contemplating what the next thing God wanted me to be. God was very clear telling me I should join ministry. I wasn't interested.
Were you still born again?
Very seriously a preacher and an
Yes.
evangelist, and I had gone into young people ministry. I've been to churches. When I was in Lango, I had visited many places. I had my guitar I was playing. I was a successful minister of the gospel. Then I didn't see why God wants me to put on a collar. Around me, I've seen clergy, and their spirituality didn't convince me. The spirituality of clergy of the time was like a drag and a weight. And I said to God, must I put on the collar?
Yeah.
And God said, yes, you must put on the collar.
Yes.
So we struggled. I struggled until I gave in. So 1975, I was admitted in Mukono. I came with my wife and children. That time we had 2 children. 4 years in Mukono. I did my diploma. I came top of my class. Then I was sent to Arua. And I was ordained in January 1979. I was priested in December 1979 while I was at the diocesan youth minister.
Yes.
I was at a very pivotal point in my life because in 1979, for those of you who are old enough, you know, we had a war. The Tanzanians had already invaded this country from Mutukula in, I think, October 1978.
Yes.
And the war which started in Mutukula was supposed to finish in Arua. because that is where Amin comes from. And we were in Arua.
Yeah.
It was hard. They came, they took over Arua. I was there, and it was far from easy because then everything, as it were, in our economy had collapsed.
Yes.
Life was expensive, life was hard, commodities were not there. During that time, if you need a soda, you need to go to Kenya.
Yeah, I remember
Here-
that.
here
I
now, you remember that time?
Because I was actually with the foods and beverages.
Aha.
First, I was a sales manager, and then later on, I
Now
became
then
general
you had
manager.
access to the
So-
to the oil of the time.
Talk of these shortages. I hear you clearly.
When I was in Mukono, getting a taxi from Kampala to Mukono is a nightmare. So you see signs. By the time you see people are moving somewhere, follow them.
Yes.
Because a taxi would be hiding somewhere in Kampala road there, and it was hard.
It
Now
was hard.
people, you are almost pulled into a taxi because there are so many taxis now. But that was a hard economic time. It was difficult.
It was.
So in 1979, I was working. I didn't have transport. The bishop said to me, "Yeah, I'm going to give you the whole diocese. You're a teacher by profession. You know young people. When you need transport money, come to me."
Yes.
And I'm handling a diocese beginning from Pakwach all the way around up to Ajumani. It wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy.
But God is such an amazing God. 79, by 1980 January, I was hearing, I have a scholarship that I'm going to go to England. I said, I've never applied. Oh yeah, but you have a scholarship.
Okay.
And eventually my scholarship opportunity came through Holy Trinity Brompton Church in central London, where the Alpha course is born. I know the Alpha course is an evangelistic tool that even here in Uganda we are using.
Yes.
They put together money in memory of Alan Galpin, who died here in Mukono as an acting principal, whose grave is even right in front of that chapel in Mukono.
Yes.
And they wanted, in his memory, a fund to be raised to train a leader in Uganda. And the story was this: Stephen Williams had been invited to come in 1978 to teach. He was a deacon, he was a curate in Holy Trinity Brompton.
Yeah.
And Alan Galpin, once upon a time, was also a deacon there, a curate there. So he called back his own home church, "Can we have somebody come and help us?" Because by then, Bazungu were leaving us. We had no tutors around.
Yes.
He came. And for 1 year, 1978, we bonded.
Yeah.
And he's a guy who went home, and the church asked him, "What do you think we can do for Uganda?" He said, "Train the leaders." "Do you have anybody in mind?" "Yes, Henry Orombi. Bring him with his family here."
Yes.
We had enough money to do anything we wanted to do. So 3 years down the road, I finished my course in Bachelor of Divinity in Nottingham University, based in St. John's College.
Yes.
Graduated 1986. We came back. No, 1983, we came back. Having lost our youngest daughter, 3-year-old girl, in July of the year I finished my study.
While you were in
the UK.
in the UK. Wow. It must have been quite hard.
It was traumatic. It was traumatic because the Bazungu don't mourn the way we mourn. We mourn collectively. There they leave you to your own dead.
Yeah.
You don't even see the body. They take it to the undertaker, like the A+ we have here. We went through that phase, but I thought God was trying to help us to understand the struggles people have gone through in Arua particularly.
Yes.
Because in Arua, soldiers came, invaded Arua in 1980, October the 9th. My wife and family were there at the time. I had to come in December, pick them, take them to England, traumatized and in a lot of pain, a lot of trouble. Many of the people I was familiar with, young people, some of them died. So Arua was not the place at that time. Maybe God wanted us to also go through a grieving moment to identify. So 1983, we came back. And the bishop said, "Go back to your youth department."
Yes.
Which I happily went to. 1983, 1986, 84, 85, up to 86. I got another scholarship to go and do my master's program. I went to my bishop to discuss the scholarship, and he blessed me. He said, you went to England, you came back, you can go again, because we know you'll come back here.
Yeah.
But I want to explain our status quo at the moment. Many clergy are retiring, and there are no replacement. I would love you to know that young people like you must be trained in order to take over. For example, the archdeaconry of your own home, the archdeacon is retiring and we have no replacement. Now God works in mysterious way, because I asked the bishop, how old must a clergy be in order to be made an archdeacon? I was 38.
38, yes.
I said to him, I want to go. Let me suspend the study for now. Let me go and help people. He looked at me, thought I was crazy. A young person, enterprising like me, I'm putting aside a scholarship in the UK and trying to go to a place which is so backward and so remote at the border with Congo, difficult circumstances. I should be joking. He said, anyway, tomorrow the archdeacon is coming here, and we shall talk.
Yes.
Go to your wife and pray about this thing. Did I pray? I didn't pray.
You didn't pray.
I just announced to my wife when we were already in bed that I've taken the responsibility as an archdeacon to go to Goli.
Goli. Yes.
It wasn't amusing for my wife. I was excited, she was frightened.
She was.
She was frightened.
What was exciting you?
An opportunity to be challenged.
Yes.
I just love challenges. I just want to go in there, I want to see how I think mine was a faith that always wanted to be tested, and I always wanted God to do something in my life.
Yes.
And so I came with my wife beginning of 1987 in Goli and worked there as an archdeacon for 6 years, worked there as a bishop for 10 years, and we went through so many challenges, and a lot of them were spiritual, and then they were financial, and there were struggles. But I have noted that when you struggle, your faith is strengthened.
Yes.
When you are challenged, you see the hand of God. For example, when I got in there, I found the archdeacon's house was falling. The office was taken over by termites. There were no facilities for my staff. We built houses, but they were all grass-thatched houses. Life in that particular remote place in Goli was so difficult. No running water, no power, no road. Well, up to now, we don't have a paved road in the place. But 16 years down the road, we were a fast-growing diocese. Let me give you a picture. The Diocese of Nebi used to give provincial quarters in 2 years installment.
Yes.
22, 23. Then we get to 23 to be 24, 25, which wasn't easy at that time for most dioceses. But you were. People had caught the gospel. People were excited. There was a huge revival in the place, young people, women, men. And we saw that if there is going to be transformation, it should begin with the heart of a person.
Yes.
A transformed person transforms his environment. So when we now began to see environment changing, it was because people's attitude and hearts had changed. When we were establishing the Diocese of Nebi in 1993, by the way, last Sunday we're celebrating the year 29th anniversary of Nebi Diocese.
Wonderful.
We could not afford buildings for our own diocesan staff, so we built grass-thatched houses, mud and wattle walls for the diocesan secretary, for the treasurer, for the mission coordinator, everybody grass-thatched. I didn't have a house as a bishop. We stayed in our own home. And we learned something. Start where you can start and grow.
You are still watching Transform Lives program, a program of the Church of Uganda Family Television, broadcasting from Church House in Kampala, Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. Before we went to the break, Your Grace, you are talking about the transformation of Nebi Diocese. Can you continue from that? And then after that, you talk about your family and your current ministry.
Nebi Diocese was founded in 1993. Prior to that, I had 6 years as an archdeacon, and then by 1992, Provincial Assembly were given a diocesan status, and then the following year, October 24th, we were inaugurated, and I was the first bishop of the diocese, which I did for 10 years.
Yes.
Well, what I was emphasizing is how God can make you see his power as you minister to his people. And that's what I saw, because God lifted us up from where we were, a very rural diocese, grass-thatched houses for my staff, and then God gave me wisdom, and this was how my work literally blossomed. Many friends internationally wanted to come and work with me. So anybody wants to come and work with me, I said, bring a house, because I don't have a house for you.
Yes.
So the first person was a Korean nursing officer from Arua in our main church hospital, Kuluva. She brought a house. We built a house for her. She shifted in. Then Pastor Song from Korea also, coming to look after the prayer mountain. He also brought a house and he built there. A couple that shifted their work from Kenya in Kitale, they are English. They wanted to shift with us. They built a house. Then another person, another 2 ladies who are coming to work with us from the UK, built a house. So houses began to spring up. So
Yes.
one day, a girl I discipled in Virginia came. And we sat in my office. And he said to me, Bishop, what are you thinking about? I said, staff housing. He said, can we go to any of the staff housing? So we walked to the diocesan secretary grass-thatched house. It had leaked, the ceiling papyrus mat was wet, the house was damp, everything was horrible.
Yes.
And she said, let's get out. How many houses do you need? I said, 4. How much is a house here? I said, 3-bedroom the house. If you give me $10,000, I can construct it. We'll build a kitchen ourselves. She said, I'll raise $40,000 and let you have the money. She
Wow.
did.
Yeah.
She did.
Yes.
So the kind of relationship locally, nationally, internationally brought friends to work with me. And I am not a guy who knows how to fundraise. I'm not even a guy who knows how to beg. I'm the guy who brings my friend and I expose them to what I am doing. And more or less, they would ask me, what can we do to help you?
Yes.
Now, if you ask me that question, the answer is always there. So we saw things happening. We put up a new office facility. We renovated a house for the bishop. I actually finished renovating that house for the bishop in May of 2003, and July I was elected Archbishop. Never even went into the house.
Yes.
Built it, furnished it. The next bishop walked into a properly built and properly furnished house. And we saw God working.
Yes.
And I believe there is something I learned, that God is looking for somebody to partner with him.
Yeah.
And in Nebi Diocese, we saw the way God was partnering with us, and we saw how God could actually lift you from somewhere and put you elsewhere. So when I came to the point where I was elected Archbishop, that was in July 2003. That election had mixed feeling in my heart. I really didn't want to come to Namirembe. I saw Nebi now rising up. It was
Yes.
like a baby. I wanted to nurture this diocese and see where God wants to take us.
And remain there.
And remain there, of course.
Wow. Wow.
And the Lord said, it's not your diocese, it's mine. Move on. So we moved on. My wife is called Mama Phoebe.
Mama Phoebe.
Mama Phoebe and I got married in June 3rd. Now that's Uganda Matters Day, 1972.
Now, Your Grace, before you married her, how did you meet her?
That's another point I wanted to tell you.
Yes.
1971, I came to Mwiri here in Jinja for a conference. But I have an uncle, then a police officer in Zambia, senior police officer. I'm traveling from Lira to come to Mwiri through this uncle in Zambia, and I had cultivated a lot of sweet potatoes, and I know the best food he loves to eat is potatoes. So a huge box of potatoes I put in the bus. I arrived in Kampala, took it to his house, and he could not believe when I told him I did not buy it. I grew it in my garden. He said, really? I said, yeah. And he was so moved by the fact that he has a son. This is my father's brother who follows my father. He has a son who cares enough to bring for him potatoes. Not that he can't buy potatoes, he had money.
Yes.
But here is a young man who thought about him. Do you know that actually earned me a promise for a dowry for a wife?
Wow.
Oh, yeah, because when I came back from Mwiri
Yes.
to say goodbye to him, he sat me down, he said, "You're a Molokole?" I said, "Yes." "Go and look for a girl who is a Molokole. When you are ready, let me know. I will pay all the expenses."
Yes. Wow.
So excited and so confused because I had not even thought about marrying yet. Because I had
So you
brothers,
found a dowry before?
Yeah, before the girl, yeah.
Wow, what a miracle.
I had brothers who were still being educated. I was paying for them. I was looking for the next 5 years to save money, and then I would be able to begin marrying. But this is my father who is saying to me, "Go get your wife. Go get a girl. Molokole girl like you. I
Yeah.
have no problem with that." Word went around that this young man is ready for marriage. Now, in our time, we don't just marry like you are doing today. Our time, marriages should be connected with families.
Yes.
What kind of family does she come from? What kind of person is she? What kind of character does the person have? The relatives scrutinize the person for you. And I think that is why many marriages of that time were intact and survived all these storms we go through now. June this year, we celebrated 50 years of our marriage.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
very few people get to that point. Number one, I wanted a Molokole girl. Number two, I wanted a girl who is educated. Number three, I wanted a girl who can be a mother and a homekeeper. And number four, I wanted a girl who can be able to share with me my heart. And I found it in Mama Phoebe, because I had a cousin who was her auntie, the wife of her uncle, the brother to her father. And she was living there because her father was a warder, prison warder, so he was moving from one place to another. And so the father said, "You go and stay home and go to a stable school."
Yes.
When my wife turned 17, she gave her life to Christ. That antagonized the father against her, who stopped her from school. I can't waste my money on a Molokole girl, and my wife stopped in P6. Could not go ahead much as she wanted. Father said no. And that was a year after that we met. And our meeting was so much designed by God. I never courted this girl. There is no dating with this girl, because the first time I met her, I just loved this person I could see.
Break it down, Your Grace,
Meaning?
for the benefit of our viewers, those who are, especially who are searching.
Now, if you're a believer and you're watching this program, I want you to understand something about the origin of marriage. God brought Eve to Adam, unaware, of course. Adam, I don't think, was looking for a wife. Adam was happy in himself.
He was asleep?
No, that was later when the process began. But God said it's not good for the man to be alone. I'll make him a helper, fit for him.
Yes.
So he put him to sleep. And he didn't even know why God wanted him to sleep until the product was out. When Eve was done without him knowing, then he woke him up, and here it was, and he was so excited.
So excited,
He
yes.
said, "This at last is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. I shall call her woman."
Yes.
Now that was God's gift. I still, as a believer and a young man, believed that the spouse God has for me, He will give her to me. That was where I started from.
Yes.
I was a passionate preacher. I was a committed person, and I knew that God can never let me down. If God can give me salvation, why can't God give me a wife? And it is in this woman. After all, I had seen other women before. There was one who was a teacher. I went to see her because they said, "That's a fantastic woman." We sat in the place, and she came with a bottle of Rtd and put in front of us.
Yes.
Disqualifying herself, because I said, for me, I'm a Molokole, I don't drink alcohol. She froze.
Wow.
A pastor friend of mine took me to Soroti and by the lake in a place called Kamuda. And he said, "I have a niece there, definitely Henry, this one here, if you see her, you will love her." I said, "Fine." So we arrived in the evening. That evening after supper, they brought the women, the girls, to come into the room where we were. And I sat with my pastor friend, and he showed to me who the girl was. And I took a look at her, and I said to the pastor, let's get out. When we got out, I said to him, this is not the one.
Yes.
Yeah, but you haven't talked to her. I said, no, this is not the one.
Yeah, you had already decided.
Well, was she beautiful? Of course.
Yeah.
But then the spirit in me did not connect.
Yes.
Was she a Mulokole? Yes. But the spirit in me did not connect. I am a fairly strange person, by the way. Probably don't want to take my way of doing things to be the norm. All of us are extraordinarily created by God, and God knows how to speak to each one of us. When it came to marriage, God spoke to me, and He helped me to discover the woman of my life. When I got married to her in June 3rd, 1972, God gave us 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. 3 are surviving. 1 went to be with the Lord in 1983. I've already mentioned that before. And the first girl is 49 years old. The second boy will be 48 in December. The third boy is 44. So 1 girl, 2 boys, all grown up, all adults. 2 live in America, 1 live here in Kampala.
Yes.
And then God gave us a church, which again, let me share this with you. When we were living together to start us off, God said, I want you to have 4 children and stop there, because I'm going to bring my own to you to look after. We thought God was joking.
Yes.
Now, if you come to our home today, with our biological son who is 44 years old and not living with us, we have a big homestead with people who live with us. People have come in, we educate them, they let them go. Those who want to stay around can stay around. Over the years, it has been like that all the time, and there are testimonies to that effect. Now, if you know my ministry, which now is JC is Lord,
Yes.
in this country, I have acquired the title of a dad. So many people call me dad.
Yes.
So many call me dad. The story which I can vividly remember, in 2000, I was doing a camp with All Saints Cathedral young people in Taiba, Old Entebbe Road. I was given a place to sleep in because they could not find anywhere else. So they said, now, I was a bishop, by the way. Bishop, we only have a classroom. But the beds are primary school size beds, and you're too tall. I said, don't worry, get me a mat, put it there, and put a mattress on top. That can be my place, my place to sleep, my place to work.
Yes.
They said, really? I said, oh yeah, no problem. I'm here to work. I'm not here to look for a bed. So I sat there, and I was working from there, and I was preaching. So one morning I preached, and I came and sat at the chair and the table where our speakers were sitting and leaders were sitting. From the congregation walked a Musoga girl straight to where I was sitting. She picked my Bible. I looked at her picking my Bible. She went away with my Bible. After a while, she brought back that Bible. I opened that Bible. There was a photograph of this girl in this Bible. I flipped at the back. I saw a message there. My name is so-and-so. I want you to be my daddy. And since you have agreed, can I call you dad?
Wow.
I looked up this girl during lunch, and I brought her to me, and I asked him. I said, you're an orphan. She said, no, I'm not. Who is paying your fees? I said, my dad. Where does your dad work? He said, he's a driver in Iganga Secondary School. So I said, what are you looking for a father for if you're not an orphan? She said, I'm looking for a role model.
Yeah.
Somebody I can imitate. I said, but I live in Nebi and you're in Iganga. He said, that doesn't matter as long as I know you're in Uganda.
Yes.
Now, that is a story.
Wonderful. Now, Your Grace, you did very serious prospecting for a wife.
Yes.
Baby.
Yes.
I'm sure you have been transformed thoroughly since you became man and husband, and now you have celebrated 50 years. God bless you. What is your advice for young people who are looking for wives? In one sentence.
Don't be in a hurry when you're choosing a lifelong partner.
Yes.
Because anybody who's going to be your spouse will live with you until death do you part.
Wonderful. So
if you're 25, you may die at the age of 80. That is 55 years in life together with your spouse. That's a long time.
Wonderful. Now, With you, Fabi, now you are reporting to Namirembe as the Archbishop of Uganda. We'll go back to that story.
Yeah.
What is your take on your time as the Archbishop of Uganda? What was your experience in terms of transformation of the province of the Church of Uganda?
9 years as an Archbishop was very, very difficult. At my entry point in 2004 January, let me start with my facility. Archbishop Nkoyoyo remodeled the Archbishop's building. So there was a palace built.
It's a palace.
But the offices were still having asbestos on top. My staff told me, sir, you can't go in your office, we need to renovate it. Now, why do you wait until I arrive, then you start renovating my office?
Yes.
I was elected in July. Now, this is January the following year. So you stay in your private office and work there until we are done. Why? Because there was no money.
Yes.
Everything was being taken on credit, paint and cement and whatever was taken on credit. So 4 months I was in my own house and then working in my private office. 2, there was no salary. January I never took a salary, February I never took a salary, March I never took a salary. What's the problem? Sir, we spend all the money for your installation, so we don't have money. Now this is the head of a church of 11 million strong people and you're not getting a salary. It's very ironic. Now, if I was in the Bishop of Kampala Diocese, definitely I was going to struggle.
Yeah.
So I entered when financially we were in a very bad state. The facility was in a horrible state. There were dioceses, because of succession, they could not hold together. Yeah. Mohabura was already in the pipeline, struggling for 5 years. In fact, one of the things which amused me was Bishop Nkoyoyo, Archbishop, saying to me,
yes,
you can take over Mohabura and see what you can do with it. He struggled with Mohabura 5 years. North Mbali up here, the bishop had stepped down because of immorality. West Nile, we had a struggle.
Yeah.
At the very entry of my work, my own PS, the then Sutherland Tagali, was elected Bishop of Masindi Kitara. And that was a crisis in itself. Why? Is the Muchiga, the Banyoro wanted Munyoro.
Yes.
So we had to even settle that into the Court of Appeal. The Friday before Sunday, we consecrated him.
Wow.
So we had so many chaos and confusion and difficulties. But in 2 years, in my sitting in the office, God silenced every opposition one by one, starting with Mahabura, North Valley, West Nile, every place settled down. And then my own understanding, Robert,
yes,
is that the gospel was not having room in people's hearts who should know the head of the church is not the bishop.
Yes.
The head of the church is Christ. And once we took the church back to Jesus, people began to know where they stand. And all these conflicts began to die one by one.
Wonderful.
I did not do anything other than preach the gospel, reconcile people to God, to Christ. Then once Christ is coming into a church, then Christ takes over his church and everybody must submit.
Yes.
So in 2 years' time, we were settled.
Wonderful.
Money was another issue. Again, quite a number of my friends came in to help us and the rest of it. I remember sitting with my staff one time and saying to them, you guys, first of all, one staff came to me and said, sir, 4 months I've not even taken a salary. I am very hungry. My family is crying. From my own wallet, I pulled out $1 million. I gave to him. I said, it is not easy for a man with family to survive in a city where you cannot even have a garden of your own. He went away very happy, thanking God. But then I came to a point when money became available. How did money become available? First of all, by firing the financial officer.
By firing the financial officer. So there was corruption.
A lot of it. In fact, it was a problem. He had been sitting in that office for 12 years. My predecessor could not manage. This guy was so subtle. God pinned him down. Actually, I was a bit aggressive in my prayer. I said, Lord, you better either kill him or take him out of this system.
Wow.
God did not kill him. God took him out of the system. That is a story to tell.
Yes.
But once he was out of the system, this is what I understood. If an evil man is in the system, the blessing begins to run away from you.
Yes.
You need to get the right people in the right place in order that the God's blessing can come on people. When this guy was taken out of the system, God began to favor us.
Wow.
You know, by the time I left that office, let me start with how much we collected in order to install the new Archbishop and to send me off.
Yes.
The committee collected 700 million Uganda shillings.
Your Grace, what I hear is that there was transformation during your term of office. Now, Your Grace, it has always been rumored that you retired prematurely.
No, it is not.
It's not true. Okay. Can you explain it away so that it
when
is
I
put
retired,
to rest? We put it to rest?
When I retired in 2012, I had done 9 years of the 10 years I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
Why did I retire? I retired because all the assignment when I started God gave me, I had finished. There was no longer any infighting in our church. Financial status had changed. Renovation of the provincial assembly, the provincial offices was done.
Yes.
The young people had come back from Pentecostal churches back to their churches in All Saints Cathedral. And then we were already having a time of blossom. Now, the problem with Ugandans is you need to eat the fruit of your work. That's not the truth about the gospel. Leave the work when you are done and let anybody else do the harvesting.
Yes.
I planted, I did the weeding, and I nurtured the province in such a way that we were now known even internationally because we fought against homosexuality as well.
Yes.
I was one of the architects of GAFCON 2008 in Jerusalem.
Yes.
So having finished my assignment, why do I waste time? So I was remaining with only 1 year to finish as an archbishop.
Okay.
Now, if you are a teacher, and you have a student who scores 90 out of 100, he's a bad student.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Your Grace, this conversation will not be complete if you do not mention something about the church house in general and
the new cathedral,
family television and the family television in particular as we come to conclusion of this Transformed Lives program.
Well, the church house was motivated by the fact that we had stopped American churches to support us.
Yeah.
We did not want to take any money in compromise of the gospel. So we refused. They tripled it, we refused. So now the Archbishop of Kenya, Eliud Wabukala, invited us, the Great Lakes archbishops, to go and discuss how we can support ourselves. So we went for a meeting in Nairobi, and who would be the one of the main speaker was Mr. James Mwangi, the group CEO of Equity, was facilitating us and asking us to engage with Equity. So at a break, like 11 o'clock, we were having coffee. I pulled James aside. I said, James, we have need. Come and help us. He said, what kind of need? I said, well, the church has been dreaming for 40 years to put a commercial building literally in the center of the financial district of Kampala, facing the Bank of Uganda. He said, really? He said, yes. I said, yes. He said, well, we are already in Kampala. Our headquarters is in Katwe. I'm coming. So by the time he came, Bishop Charlie Gonza of Rwenzori died in a motor accident. So I went to bury the bishop. He came, so I told him, James, we can't. Let's have another time. He said, okay. Why don't you bring your people to Nairobi? So we took our things. I had Bishop, and I had Canon Obura, I had Canon Ezara, who was then the chairman of the church commissioners, the CEO of church commissioners, to discuss about church house. When they looked at what we already planned and the bill of quantity and the structure of the building, 2 towers, they got very interested. James Mwangi said, why don't we help you build that thing? Give us 30% of the total cost. We will come in and build your church house, and we'll take one of the towers for our headquarters.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
I came back to the trustees. They said it's impossible. I said, why? They said, what do we do? I said, why don't you dispose of properties that are not making a lot of money? and invest in the church house. Oh, it is impossible. Oh, it is impossible. Then Kahineno came to me one morning. He said, Your Grace, Kabira Club is sitting on our own property, 3.5 acres of land. So this is giving us no money per year. Why don't we let him buy the property? I said, that's a good idea. We negotiated. He gave us 6.7 billion Uganda shillings.
Yeah.
3.4 billion, we bought shares in the church house. Do you know that Kampala Diocese is the biggest shareholder of the church house?
Wonderful.
No in other dioceses. Then we had a market in Bukoto. We sold it off at 800 million. We had some property in Michiana. We subleased it out. We got money. We got the 30%. And equity was on.
Wonderful.
And by the time I took my trustees, the bishops, to look at the foundation, all they could sing was, To God be the glory. And the work is now a story to be told.
Wonderful.
Now, Family TV, Amos Messenger came to me with a group of men, and said, Your Grace, we want to start a TV for the church. I gave them my blessing. They began working, and now there is Family TV, for which I think Church of Uganda is very proud and very happy. And I commend the work they're doing now, because if you own something, you feel you are making a contribution to a country and a church.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. I hope the management of Family Television, you are viewing this program, because research and experience have shown that the most efficient and effective way of sharing the gospel is through electronic media.
Absolutely.
And while everybody was starting a television program in Kampala, churches and other organizations, Church of Uganda did not hurry to do that.
We are coming.
We thank you, Your Grace, and your team for thinking of Family Television program. Now, Your Grace, you have been retired with new tires. Tell our viewers what you are doing with your retirement. As we conclude this program.
Let me start by demystifying a very ugly, negative thinking about retirement. Most of us think you retire to die, and you die very fast. I want to agree with that. Let me talk from the church perspective of top leadership like bishops.
Yes.
When you become a bishop, you're put up here as a leader, and people come and rally behind you as their bishop, and they want to lift you up. They call you my Lord the Bishop. You are the high table guy. Wherever you go, you are recognized. In a given diocese, you are one whose color, the color of your shirt is totally different from everybody. No one can hide you. But I came to understand something, that before you retire, while you are a bishop, do this. I discover that the people who follow you, when you retire, will follow your successor. So that's a loss. So while you are in the office, make friendship with other people who become your personal friendship, not the office friendship.
Yes.
So that when you retire, they're still your friends.
Yes.
They're still with you, because they know you for who you are, minus the title. I think friendship is one thing that most of us need to begin to cultivate very early.
Yes.
Why? Because Jesus said to his disciples, I no longer call you servants, I call you friends. For all that the Father commanded me, I have shared with you. Now, if Jesus introduced this relationship of friendship to his disciples, I, as a leader, need to have my own friends. Now, I have got very outstanding friends who know my needs, who want me to minister to them, who invite me for this, invite me for that. And I have, by the way, my own diary, as now I'm working on. Yeah. I'm working on 2023. I normally get a diary which carries the present year and the next year. Why? Because my time is very short. And everybody wants to jump on your time. The best way to protect yourself is to have a diary.
Yes.
So now I'm working on 2023, meaning that I am so busy and never redundant. 2, when you become a bishop, they recognize your giftings. That's why they give you that office.
Yes.
If you are a bishop, don't forget those gifts. Use those gifts alongside your administration of a bishop. Use them to minister, because gifts die with you. Office is given to somebody else. I'm a preacher, and I've remained a preacher, and I will die a preacher, and people want to receive. I give them that. Whether it be in Uganda or outside Uganda, I am in need. I'm like a chef. If you're a good chef, you never grow old.
You will never grow old.
And so we have created an organization, which is not a money-making organization. It's called JC is Lord. We do a lot of work with young people. We come and support leadership. We come and work alongside bishops. We come and lead your conferences. And where I am available and you get me on time, I want to come and walk with you. I'm no longer now breaking new grounds. I'm supporting leadership.
Yes.
And my work is to help leaders understand you can start and you can finish well. Now, that is a secret of success.
African Village.
This one here in 2012, we were in Tungamo. We were launching the Diocese of South Ankole. On the 8th of January, I made an announcement to the whole of the church that I was going to retire in 12 months' time, 2012. As soon as that message went out in the media, the owner of this property, Maria Prin, an Austrian, had been introduced to me by my predecessor, Nkoyoyo. Right from the time I came Archbishop in 2004, he brought her to me and said, please assist this woman.
Yes.
So from 2004 up to 2012, I was supporting her. We lay foundation stone for some of these buildings, commissioned the buildings. I said that graduation of her students, and I supported her. I even gave her an access to the prisons in Luzira. Through our chaplaincies there, she went there. And so we worked together. So by the time I made my announcement, she came to Namrembe office. She said, now, Your Grace, we are all leaders who are women in our organization. We need a father figure.
Yes.
Would you like to be our father?
Yes.
I said, I've been
Father
a father.
again. Yes.
I've been a father all this time. He said, yes, but we want to build you a house. This area where we are seated was Cassava Garden. So she brought me here. She said, this is part of the hotel, and I want to put a house here for you. And then you will use the hotel as your support system. Yes. So when I come here, I don't cook my own food. The hotel gives us food. If there are visitors who are coming to see me, they give them food. My staff stay in the hotel here, and they look after the property. Like you see this nice garden, they cut the grass for me. They look after our linen. They clean the house. And then when I come, they refund my fuel. They give me fuel to go back. When my car needs servicing, they service my car. Now, do I need to take a salary? That's more than a salary.
Yes, it is.
I'm a house, I am fed, my car is taken care of, and I come here and I do my ministry, listen to the leadership, pray with the leadership, support the leadership. And when I'm done, I'm gone. And that ministry, since 2013 to date, we are partnering with them. Then Mama Phoebe also had a vision in 2011 to start a nursery school because they do a lot of work here. Mama Maria said, we shall support giving you some money to support kids. Now, Mama Phoebe's nursery school kids set in the last PLE, 14 pupils. 6 passed in grade 1, 6 passed in grade 2, 1 in grade 3, and 1 in grade 4. The best student in the district came from that school.
Yes.
Now we are preparing them for the next PLE. And so our relationship is really supporting. Then finally, we agreed that 2013 we should support leadership. So there's a property in Tongolo up in Buikwe opposite the Ginger Town or Ginger City. When you look from Ginger City in that direction, you see that pine trees. There is a facility there. We take leaders there to renew them, to help them network, to help them rest, to help them pray. Every 3 months, top leadership. Now, let me give you the kind of committee members we have. Michael Kansime is a vet doctor. He's a member. Andrew Bakainaga is an advisor to World Health Organization in Uganda. He's the chairman right now. Dr. Jena Cheng, the Minister of Health, is a committee member. Yeah. So we have some kind of high-profile people who come there, judges and chief magistrate, people in the open places, in the marketplaces, parliamentarians. They come for a weekend.
Wonderful.
And it is a very renewing weekend if you come and spend time with us.
Thank you very
Now,
much.
the good thing about it is this.
Yes.
I host it. Mama Maria is a facilitator. Bishop Luere is a facilitator. Now, Bishop Luere is a Pentecostal. Dr. Drake Adupa is a senior consultant, now based, is a gynecologist, now based in Lira, is a facilitator. So we have a high-profile people for high-profile leaders to help them network. We found Christian leaders don't network.
Yes.
They don't know each other.
Yes.
We create that situation. Let them rest. Let them pray. Let them renew themselves and go back into the work when they are better.
Wonderful. Your Grace. It has been really a great joy and pleasure for you,
Thank you.
to accept to be hosted by Transform Lives program of the Church of Uganda Television, which you yourself birthed. We are very, very glad that although you are retired, you are not tired, and you are still carrying out the
No,
work
I'm tired, but
of-
I know
of
how
the
to
Lord.
work.
Yes, we are still carrying out the work of the Lord. Viewers, we have come to the end of Transformed Lives program, coming your way from Church of Uganda Family Television in Church House in Kampala, Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. Transformed Lives program broadcasts every Sunday from 6:30 to 7:30 and is repeated on Wednesdays from 9 to 10. Thank you very much for viewing, and as we conclude this program, we invite you to continue supporting Transformed Lives program. And you can transport this program in two ways. One, by sharing that story, like the one our retired Archbishop has shared with us. If you have that kind of story, that kind of testimony, where you think that your life was touched, your family was touched, your community, your organization was touched in a special way, we would like to share that story. But you can also support Family Television financially, because this program costs quite a bit of money. I want to thank the team that contributes to this program. Jonan Mwebembezi, the producer. We have Nyakahangula Yedidia, who is the head of program family, and Karugaba Derrick, and my co-producer, Edrin Mkalazi, and of course, our head of the program, the executive director, Amos Message. Thank you very much, viewers. Have a blessed viewing and a good weekend.